4 years anniversary since you took a mighty plummet, as we say.
Oh yes, yes. Lots happened in 4 years, of course. 4 years last week. Does that not also mean that it's been 4 years since you tied the knot?
Certainly.
Yeah.
It's funny we started fucking talking like a pair of interviewers there. Basically, so 4 years have flew in since you fell. How high would you say you fell that day? Apart from into the depths of hell itself, how high would you say you fell?
I guess higher, depending who tells the story.
Oh, aye. 100
I
feet.
like yes, as the story gets carried across people and ages and all walks of life, it gets higher and higher. I think about like
Mm.
somebody. I know somebody was telling somebody at work or something. And they're like, he jumped from like here to there, and it was like 100 feet or something like that. And I was like, no. I like 20 feet or something like that. 20, like between
Oh,
18 and
you fell further, like you fell further down, like it was higher than 20 feet. It was like between 20 and 30 feet.
aye, but the jump was only I don't know, like a few feet. But there was no run. That was the downfall, the problem.
There was no run. I'll tell the story just in case people have any idea that you're a cyborg these days. But basically, what happened was you and Sean came to Helsinki to see me get married, and then what was it? And was it the day after I got married?
The day
Aye,
after.
so it was the day after I got married. Then it was Sean's like stag do because he was also going to get married that same year. And the funny thing is like people would obviously assume, and I don't blame them for assuming, is like that they just imagine you drunk, like wasted or something like super steaming, and then climbing up on the bridge. There was a bridge, and it wasn't like a special bridge or anything like that, like a tourist site or something like that. It was like just a bridge next to Mile Flat, and then you decided that you would jump basically from the bridge to like construction. What do you call that thing? Like the big thing?
Containers.
A container. That's the word. I like jump to the container, and then like you said, you didn't have a runner, and me and Sean obviously pleaded with you at the time to cease and desist of the jumping activity, but you failed to listen, and
Aye. I know it's been a while, so it's hard to like how to hit it, what angle to take it from,
so many
But
angles.
so many angles. Unfortunately, there was only one angle to jump, and that was the angle of failure and death. Um,
What was the last thing
but
you remember? Like, do you remember like standing and then thinking about jump? Like you didn't obviously you did have a couple of beers, so you had that lack of hesitation, but you just decided like so you didn't have to think about it too much because there's a couple of beers in you. So do you remember
I
your thought process?
so like everybody always says like, oh, you were wrecked. You must have been wrecked, or you're steaming or whatever. I wasn't like half as drunk as I should have been to be that stupid. Like I've
Mm.
been far more wasted. Like I wasn't even that drunk, to be quite honest. Like I had a few drinks, but I was fine. Like it was just a fucking stupid moment. But I just remember like leaping and then bouncing from the. It was like in the Matrix or Spider-Man when they try and they jump and fall, trying to get the building, and they're like flying through the air, and then all of a sudden they're kind of like start to like just fail in slow motion. But I
That's
remember
where
just
yeah, your brain probably slowed down. Like that's why it went slow motion, like pre-death escapism.
I, and when once you kind of and once you bounce from the top of the where you're trying to reach, once you kind of just bounce right off the target, there's like no going back for that. It's just like for downward spiral after that. And I remember just like trying to like fucking grab onto like a flat fucking surface while I was tumbling to my death. You're like a cat that's like nothing to claw onto, like. Um,
Oh,
uh,
we all seen those videos, yeah.
oh yes, we all like that. If only it was on
So
camera, man.
like, it was like this. You'd say like you jumped, and then you landed with your legs like straight, I guess, with your kind of arse backwards, and then you fell back, and then you fell like 20 to 30 feet
Pretty
onto
much.
your.
And and then obviously knocked myself out. And then I just remember like you were like hovering over me in tears. Okay, nothing. I'm only joking, of course.
I took it like a man. I did. I cried a wee bit like 2 days later, but when later on I cried into Johanna's chest, but that was about it.
We were
So,
sitting there
do you
and you were
remember? Like so? You don't remember hitting the ground or anything like that, but you remember? Do you remember waking up?
so I remember waking up, but I think you were only crying. You were probably hard at the time. You were probably aroused at the time, but you were like hovering above me, and I think you said something like, "I told you not to, told you not to," or something. And I've like that feeling when you wake up from a nap and somebody's like annoying you, and you're just like, "Ugh, fuck off, let me sleep," kind of thing.
I
It
don't
was
remember.
that.
Told you not to jump. I don't remember that. But
I remember you were just like fucking give me into trouble kind of thing, and then obviously I got up. I kind of forgot what happened. Actually, I didn't even know what happened at first. I was like, "What the fuck?" Traumatized, and then and you dragged me back up to the sort of um, walkway, the overpass.
aye, that was a big mistake
And you,
on my part.
so you're not supposed to move people, but obviously
We were
is
also you were like refusing to stay still, but I like kind of tried to put you in like a kind of recovery position and shit like that a wee bit, and then you kind of woke
aye,
up like what the fuck, and we're trying to tell you not to move, and then I can remember we were like trying to. This is kind of funny because I saw your legs later on, like when the ambulance came, but so we didn't see your legs at this point, and we're like getting you, like basically helping you, and you're like basically saying like no, like you tried a few steps, and then you realised that your legs were fucked. So you're like, all right, I can't. So I put you on my back, and it was like surprisingly heavy. And then these two guys like asked if they could help us because they could see like we were basically carrying like a corpse up this bridge, and then I was like, no, we don't need any help, and we absolutely did need the help. For some reason, I just uh, rejected the help, but then we dragged you down to the car park, like where we used to live, and the ambulance came.
aye,
Uh, they said that we shouldn't have moved you.
I
Uh,
know.
but also the address, like phoning the ambulance and trying to explain where we were was like really fucked up for me. So because it was like under this bridge that I didn't know the address or the street name or anything like that. So I was like, fuck it, drag you to the underworld, and
Aye,
then you get took off. You were like, sorry.
I know. By that point, it started to kick in that I had ruined the night.
Oh, aye. So what happened after that? Like after you
So,
get in the ambulance and shit?
so we get stuck in the weeds talking about, there's too much to go into, but so I remember like lying in the car park, and then the ambulance came, and obviously they took me in, and I was wearing like my favorite like Menzingers hoodie at the time, and I remember they were saying like we have to take off the jumper, the hoodie, and then like they had like a big like knife and scissors, and they started to like cut into my hoodie, and I was like, I remember like fighting the guy like no, I was like no. He started chopping up my favorite hoodie, and I was more concerned about the hoodie
Right.
than anything else. And I remember the guy, so I'm lying there and they put me on oxygen and shit, and the guy's like looking at my leg, and he's like, "It's not broken," and I was like, "Oh, good,"
Something
but
was
clearly,
broken.
I was like, "This guy just clearly doesn't know what he's talking about," because I think it was like broken in many many places. So he was obviously just a fucking ambulance driver, not qualified to be commenting on my bloody destroyed leg. But so that was that, and then they were like, "Why did you jump?" And I was
Oh
like, "Cause
god.
I'm an idiot. Cause I'm an idiot." And then because they were asking me if I was like suicidal and shit, and I was like, "I'm just Scottish and I'm just stupid. Okay, leave me alone."
Baby bear barn with it. That's fucked up.
So then we'll
How
speed
long did
along
it
this
take to get a bed?
a bed. I think I breezed through quite quickly actually. Like the place was quite good. I felt like they wheeled me around for a while. Like I just assumed it was like a big place, like a big hospital. But
Hmm.
I think they like fucking chucked some local Finnish guy in his deathbed out and put me in, just like just the way it should be. That was good. And then I remember, like, for some reason, I wasn't expecting to stay the night. I was like, "Well, I'm going to be here overnight." Oh no, like Johnny and Sean are going to be like out partying
Overnight.
years without me, man. Like, fuck's sake. I was like, "Can I stay here for overnight?" And then it was like 4 days later, man. I'm here being operated on and shit. Um, I'm here, I'm here under
Aye.
the knife, under the fucking knife. I tell you.
I remember
Um,
when we first came to visit you, like we were, it's been years since I've been in a hospital, and I think like anytime I've ever been in a hospital, I was being somebody else was leading me to like the person I was visiting, so I never actually like it'd been years since I did have to navigate a hospital, and we walked into this like room, and it was like fuck something for, like a hot, it was all like dark and shit, and then I remember seeing this guy lying in a bed, like receding hairline, a tattoo in his right arm, like a half sleeve, like a fucking ventilator on, looking like he was about to like just die in front of me. I was like, what the fuck? And I looked like straight ahead, and you were just sitting like looking at me, like alive and well. And this other guy was fucked. So I didn't give a fuck about that guy anymore. I just like ignored him. But what was fucked up was like I had to obviously like once you were safe and stuff, it was fine. Although we didn't know the like how severe the your injuries were, but I had to like obviously show Sean like the night in the town. I had still had to go for beers and shit, which was I
or
mean it's fine, but it's quite funny. Like just watching my phone the whole time to see like if you would phone or some shit like that. Like I don't remember giving you a phone number or whatever, but then a phone call came and you were like, "It's me." And I was like, "All right, man, how you doing?" And you were like, even though like you said earlier, we didn't drink that much, but you were fine and sober and shit, sober you right up.
oh, that would sober
Anybody
you.
anybody ever quite sober up before a fucking an appointment? I suggest throwing yourself off a bridge.
I know. If you're worried about spending money that day on booze only to have my night ruined, there's nothing worse than fucking sobering up
Mm,
by.
saved you a penny, pretty
Uh,
penny.
that was all fun and games. That was I just kind of I the rest of it was all kind of like just looking back and kind of funny, in a way. Obviously, I was living on sleeping on your couch for like 3 days, 4 days after your honeymoon period. Was
But
it where you're?
what? Aye, when you were in the hospital though, like how many days were you there?
I think it was 4 days. I.
And you, what was the thing with the nurse? Like, what was it? You
Oh,
like you wanted something, and she like, you like was it you wanted a drink of water or something, and she like took you and showered you
I,
or something like that.
a few funny ones with like because of the language and shit as well.
Mm.
The language barrier. So I was like, I remember saying like water or something like that. Mizu,
What
Mizu,
the?
what the H2O? And like or no, or maybe I said the toilet as well. And then so I get like wheeled off to the toilet, and I get taken to this like, pure wet room. And then she's like in a wheelchair, and she's like, and now you shower. And I'm like, what? And she like hands me this like hose, like, fucking like freezing cold, and I'm pure trying to hose myself down on this wheelchair. Pure fucking. I think this was before the surgery, so I was still fucked and like in pain and shit. And I pure hose myself down. That was pretty brutal. And then another thing, there was this like nice nurse that I kind of got to know a wee bit, um, and she was like pure gave me like a baby wipe fucking like bath massage type thing. It was pretty good.
Mm.
Aye, that was your
Top
stinking
dollar
obviously.
shit.
Aye. And then obviously I had like a big fucking jug that I was pissing in next to my bed. But the thing was that you're meant to tell them when you piss so they can come and
Ah.
like away. But I'm for self-conscious. I'm shy. I don't like to say I've pee-peed. Take away my pee-pee, please. So
Mm.
like there was at one point, like I would piss in the jug, right, and then like leave it there during the day and like sleep while they came and got it, like pretend I'm sleeping so they don't make eye contact while they carry away my piss.
Oh, aye,
But
I did the exact same as that.
aye,
Mm.
aye. There was at one point it was like nighttime and I was in pain, so I got painkillers. They brought me pain relief, and then I had pissed in the jug, and I told them, and the lassie like bumped into it, and the piss went all over her hands and shit.
Oh,
She was pure. She was not pleased. She was like, ugh. And I was like,
Gaga.
ugh. I was like, bitch, please. So it was a good experience, man. To be fair, eventually it was just like fucking lying back on a laptop watching Batman, but or the Justice League, I think it was. But and I remember I said to you like, what does non-e mean? I was because everybody's kicking about, man. Like every 2 seconds, going non-e, non-e.
Nani,
I'm like,
nani.
I'm like, surely this doesn't just mean like, how's it going? Because everybody's saying it every 2 seconds.
Aye, this it's funny because there's like Finnish stand-up comedians or like at least one stand-up comedian that talks about noni like because it's a obviously it's a word or a phrase, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's like it's just like a natural. One like I always compare it to like the Scottish like fuck aye like fuck aye. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Uh,
the way you do that fuck aye or like like fuck aye. It's like kind of non like it's kind of describe it, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just like it means so much. It's like it's like a situation describer. Like just
like
it's
almost a tone, like a tone of like mood kind of thing.
it's really hard like to explain, but that's pretty funny because I remember you sent me that message like, what the fuck does this mean? I was like, oh well, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you about that later. And then what was it like? Uh, I had to like phone. I had to phone like an insurance. You started to like consider like medical bills and all that, and I like, had to like phone up some fucking EU insurance people,
Oh, aye.
and you were going to get a bill that was going to like stick its dick up your arse, and then
Break me.
thankfully like cost you like what was it like 50 pence or something.
Oh, aye, aye. It was like 50 pence a bone, so it was probably about 4 quid in the end. But no,
Oh,
it was like 20 fucking grand or some shit if I didn't pay like a minimum of like 200 euros or something like that. And I was like, fucking take 250 euros, please. Take it all. But that was pretty good. Like they gave me the insurance stuff to fill in while I was like in the hospital. Do you know what I mean? Like that was pretty cool. Like they knew that I had no insurance and I was like getting this pure operation and shit. And the nurses and doctors. So like we'll put this, we'll file it all through once it's come through, kind of thing. We'll know like fuck you, and I was like, thanks, man, thanks for that.
That's the opposite. What you hear like the horror stories, so like American shit like that, like places like that, they probably like make sure this guy doesn't know about his rights. Make sure he doesn't find out that he can get insured and all that shit. And
But
then then we got your taxi home, and you are pretty fucked up. I remember
oh
showering you a couple of times.
oh yeah.
Showering those bollocks.
So yeah, so there's later on the story goes, surgery in the hospital, then a taxi. A few days, like as soon as I had the surgery, I was at the hospital like the next day. It was waiting for a surgery that was really kept me in there,
Hmm.
like just because there was other pressing urgency and shit. But so I got the taxi back to your bit. I was like pure inexperienced on crutches and could barely move. It was pretty brutal, man. I was a lot of pain and shit. And then I was on your couch while you fetched me coffee and fucking chicken often. And then hose.
You got a bit demanding, I must admit.
I did get demanding. I was like pure coffee, coffee.
Every minute,
And
man, coffee. I'd feed you, and then I'd feed you, and I look at the couch. You'd just be like lying passed out.
I was dead.
I think I sat in your leg a couple of times, but
Aye. Then you would hose me down in the bathroom. That was good that you had like your guys have got like wet rooms.
I think that's the standard here.
Aye. And then the fucking pain was so bad. I remember like counting down the minutes to have another cocodamol and shit. It was just like, and it would take me to like a happy place. I remember just being pure full of anxiety and like fear and pure
Mm.
dwell, like hating life and shit. And
When you go
then,
into the fly and all that kind of shit.
obviously, aye man, this is like this could take up the entire
Yeah,
conversation.
well, this is a condensed version because we're going for about like half an hour like the day or 45 minutes or some shit. But maybe other appearances or episodes will be a bit longer or whatever. But this is a condensed version of your suffering and the 4 year anniversary of your uh,
Since I
life as a
before you,
cyborg.
yes. So be like lying there in fucking pure agony and shit.
Mm.
And my leg was constantly having to be like elevated, so obviously like with the blood pressure or some shit. So when it was like flat, when I had to go to the bathroom or even just move or whatever, it was like pure agony. And then so it was like a pure scary thought to go like have to get a plane back to Scotland like in coming days. And then you came back for like a small house gathering at the time. Remember you had the the, the edibles, edibles.
I,
Yeah,
I did
I
a supply.
oh yeah, she brought me the goods. And then I remember I had those in that Saturday night, man, and like the pain pure went away. And I was like pure fucking high as fuck, and you're flat, and the pain was pain was gone, and I felt brilliant. And I was like, oh man, I need to get some of that shit for the flight back home. And then you made that happen, and then that's when the story even gets even funnier because then I end up taking the edibles like half an hour or 20 minutes before I went into the airport by myself. Well, you wheeled me in a mad trolley thing, but basically,
Oh,
like
excellent.
as this weed was like kicking into me, kicking in, I was like by myself in crutches, pure couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair, and then I was here wheeling myself to the fucking airport terminal, pure high as a kite, and then the guy. So you obviously people in wheelchairs and shit, they get escorted to places, to the gate and onto the plane and shit.
Mm.
And the Finnish guy was like, so can you get onto the plane? And I was like, well, I could probably like hobble onto the plane. Like I'm not a fucking like bitch. Like I can get up and struggle onto that plane if I need to. And because I said yes, I can get onto the plane. The guy fucked off, just
Mm.
left. It's online. I'm sitting there in a wheelchair like a pure dick, like no experience in wheelchairs and shit. And
Mm.
then I had to like wheel myself down the big ramp that you get onto planes, onto the plane. And I get pure, I'm fucking like wheeling myself, and I get pure stuck and all that. Like I couldn't get over one of the bumps and shit. Pure embarrassing, and I was high as fuck as well.
Oh my God.
So I was all smooth sailing. Finally got back, and then the recovery process. So
And then your X-rays are pretty interesting as well. They're fucking brutal, but
that's pretty cool because like not everyone gets their own X-rays back to take with them. So you can
mm.
feel like the screws in my leg and bolts and cracks and
Is
even
that
like the
for like medical reasons? Like basically sharing like between the professions, like basically so that your doctors and shit in Scotland would know what the fuck happened to you.
basically. So I just had to. So I could say like Hair Myers and like obviously Glasgow or whatever. And this is what the Finnish have done to me. That
Mm.
Finnish steel was deep in my fucking bones. It's like a bald fucking Wolverine.
A ball bearing man.
Bald bearing, mate. Bald bearing. But that was pretty good.
Mm.
Pretty all round that way. Aye, man. And then the X-rays have also got like your brain scan shit. And you can pure see my head and brain, your spaghetti and all that.
Few burst synapses and shit there.
But
A couple of burst synapses for your burst vessels and death.
oh aye, big time, big time.
Ah,
Pretty good.
well, you came out at the end of it, and
Oh,
there's a lot more to that to the story, and it sounds like obviously people will be like, the story did go like this, like can you trust us to do anything? Like anywhere we go, anything we ever do, we're doomed to like fuck ourselves in some way or like fuck it up. But one of the things, lesson learned.
aside, I mean, less fucking crazy shit happened to us, but at the same time, we always sort of survive the skin of our teeth, whatever the fucking phrase is.
Another. I've not been in like it's funny because people still associate me like with like kind of that kind of shit, and I'm like I've not been in trouble and fucking like even before that, and that was 4 years ago. Like I mean I've like got like got wasted a couple of times and shit like that, but I've no like fucking fell off a bridge or fell. Oh, we need to tell a couple of our stories in another time. Another time actually, I just remembered that it's nearly started telling the stories there, but.
we can go.
It's all in the bank for later.
Yes, we'll save that for another episode. Yeah.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z. But it's 4 years since the Plummet, the Great Plummet. 4 years since I got married, and then I guess Sean and Emma got married in the same year, so like 4 years basically.
They get married like that year because I remember we went to the wedding and I was like I had a walking stick and shit. But and then right, I was kind of doing better by then, and remember like there was a part of the kind of ceremony where like we all had to walk into the main hall and shit.
I remember that well.
Make it look a bit better. I tried to like go without my walking stick and shit, so I had to walk in and all that. But that's another fucking.
No, I think about it. Like, I don't know why we just didn't consider like, oh, well, like Stewart can just fucking skip that. Like, leave him. Is it like just let him be? Like, it's not gonna. You're not that significant that you're gonna wreck the wedding if you don't walk in like Kermit. What's the fucking rickety ricket? Like the tiny frog.
Timmy.
Aye.
Rickety.
It'd be funny if they expected you to like do the first dance or something like that, then you'd be totally fucked. But
I think I probably end up down. But I was thinking this earlier that I think like this sounds probably quite brutal, but I think like everybody, like see if everybody had like something dodgy happen to them like that, like whether it's their fault or not, right? I think if something happened like that, like every 4 or 5 years, I think everybody would be better people. I think you need a bit of you need a little wake up call now and then because.
A wee bit of water to the face, we splash.
I just need to wash your face in a toilet sometimes and flush it and see what happens and see how you feel after that. But big time.
Did they say like people face adversity and always like become stronger people and all that kind of shit? There's obviously a difference between facing adversity and overcoming brutal times and like falling off a bridge and doing stupid shit, but no, I think there's something to that. Like, there are some people that just been floating on a cloud their whole life and don't experience anything. Then when something finally happens, they are just demolished by it. So,
big time.
My legs are still intact. I expect something bad to happen to me at some point. Like, for some reason, I imagined like I don't know. I was playing the guitar in work the other day there, and I was thinking like. I expect something bad to happen, like I'll lose an arm at some point, become a fucking an amputee or some shit like that. I think at this point, I don't really give a fuck, so it's fine.
I reckon that you're going.
At this point in the show, Stewart says something highly incriminating. At the risk of being cancelled, we have left it out.
Christmas dinner or some shit.
Probably, man.
I think that's what's going. I think that's what's going to happen to you. I think you're going to be like killed and eaten alive, man. Or no, you'd be dead. But you know what I mean? I think your corpse got to be pure fucking shared upon a small family, and they've got to feast on you. I think you're killed by these people, man. Not these people. Whoa! I just mean the people like in your course. This like fucking weird group of people. They've got to just like fuck you up.
Well, then that's fine. Like when this whole 45 minutes before any said it, and they could get us fucking cancelled. But there you go, it's fine. I'll be fine. Don't you worry. Don't you worry about that. Me bad. I'll be fine. I'll be at your funeral. That's a fact. I'll be at your funeral, mate.
Cancelled in 10 minutes.
I was already prepared to be at your funeral anyway. But anyway, that's plenty, and of course we'll tell greater stories and greater mishaps and more brutal occasions of destruction of the body and the entering of the anus and the sucking of the eyeballs and shit.
Oh, yeah, feasting each other.
Well, until next time, peace out.
Take it easy.